Well, One Nation leader Pauline Hanson will be taking the Queensland government to the High Court over the ongoing border closure. Queensland Premier Annastacia Palaszczuk is unrepentant, though, and says she'll keep the borders shut till as late as September, despite federal government health experts saying closing state borders was never recommended and isn't recommended now. And despite repeated calls from businesses and locals to urgently open up, given what's looking like close to $6 billion in terms of a tourism hit. I'm joined now by Queensland Coalition MP Philip Thompson, the federal member for Herbert, coming to us now from Townsville. Philip, I'm fascinated to know what it feels like on the ground, what people are telling you, what your constituents are saying, because Annastacia Palaszczuk sees everything, in my view, through the prism of her election success or otherwise come October. So what's the impact to the tourism sector in and around your electorate of Townsville?
Well, the Labor Premier is holding businesses here to ransom. And the problem is we can't get a read on what she'll do next. This is policy on the fly, policy on the run. We were told from the outset that you had to have 2 incubation periods before there'd be an ease of restrictions. We've had nearly double that in Townsville. There's been more than 50 days without a positive case of COVID-19 here in Townsville. We've abided by all the rules. We've done everything correctly. We've done it tough. We've had a 1 in 500 year flood. We've had drought. We've had, severe economic downturn. And now, as things were starting to get back up, we've been slapped with the COVID-19 restrictions. On the 1st of April, 200 medical professionals and business leaders, as well as politicians who wear different coloured shirts, wrote to the Premier asking her for regional management zones. And she didn't even respond. She got a staffer, a non-elected representative of her staff to respond. The 3 Labor state MPs here haven't met with anyone that signed the letter. It's disappointing. We're getting treated like mugs and we deserve better.
I want to go into some other health-related issues, but just on the mood in your electorate, what are people saying to you?
People want the restrictions eased. People want to get back to our normality. We've had over 50 days without COVID-19 cases here or any positive cases. People just want to get on with their lives. They want to get back to work. They want to get back to going to the gym, the pub, churches, everything. But we're getting held for ransom because I can tell you if there was more than 50 days without a positive case of COVID-19 in the southeast corner, it'd be different. But because it's in North Queensland, it's somewhere where Labor doesn't care about. They close their eyes, they turn their backs on us, and they deserve their fate come the state election.
Look, one of the things I think that's worried everyone around the country, the story of this Rockhampton nurse being investigated as the possible link, it's not confirmed, to the case of the 30-year-old Blackwater man who died from coronavirus this week. It emerged that she failed to tell health authorities, this nurse, about a trip overseas to Malaysia. Now, how's your community feeling if this is the level of checking that Queensland Health does? Surely they asked her that question, and why aren't they checking with the Commonwealth border authorities to verify whether people have moved overseas? It surprises me that she's shutting the borders, but the old health department is on top of game.
Yeah, it's a simple fact of ask no questions, hear no answers. For this to happen is disgusting. It's disgusting to think that a health professional has been overseas, has come back, hasn't told anyone, or people do know and haven't spoken up about it. It's disgusting. People here on the ground, this really pisses people off because we're doing everything right here locally. We're doing everything right here to get our normality back, to get tourism operating, small businesses. We've been hurting. We want to get back to our lives. And to see something like this is absolutely just terrible.
Yeah, I have to say, Ruby Princess, the debacle in Fremantle the other day with a live export ship and the crew on that, and now this example, not to mention the horrific cases of those children found dead and another found locked up in Queensland, all coming back to state-based health services. I think that's got to be a really big a big task for Scott Morrison's new cabinet. Look, many people won't know this, I do, but I'm telling them here tonight. You're a former Army veteran before you went into Parliament, but you've also been a pretty outstanding advocate for mental health issues inside the veteran community, as you'd expect, but also young people in particular. It's been one of the biggest challenges. Now that we've got past the worst of this virus, everyone's more fearful, I think, now of the mental health consequences than anything else. Are you happy with the level of support that's been put in place by government, state and federal today?
We can always do more. That's the simple thing is we can always do more. I constantly, and my friends and people within our community, get messages from people that aren't travelling too well. And there always has to be more we can do. We know that mental health and suicide prevention is everyone's responsibility. It's not just at a local level or a state or federal level. It's all of our responsibility to ensure that people are travelling well and ensure that people aren't feeling like there is no other option. And I know with isolation and with people sitting in their homes, it can be like that. And we've encouraged people here locally to call your mates, pick up the phone, talk to people. There are supports available, and we need to be telling people about what's there and the phone numbers and everything that people can call, because I can tell you now that it absolutely breaks my heart when people, not just loss of life, but when people call and say, I'm having anxiety attacks because I don't know what's happening next. And that's a communication breakdown that we need to be picking up on, because I want people in Townsville to live well, to prosper, to get back to life. And you know, this is something that we all need to work together on. There's no political coloured shirts when it comes to mental wellbeing and suicide prevention.
There's not. Philip Thompson, I've got to leave it there, but thank you very much for your time tonight, as always.
Thank you for having me.